Okay, so today we're going to look at, there's a section that we need to talk about for rates. So basically we're going to be dealing with problems which you see all the time, things like, you know, how many kilometers per hour, how much the cost per person, changing units like pounds to kilograms, things like that. So it's best that we start by framing it with a little problem to get you thinking about rates. So this will also kind of give you a hint as to where we're going to be going with our project that we tie into leadership. So a class is fundraising for a field trip. They want to sell pizzas in the cafeteria at lunch. There's 3 companies in their area, and here's some of the costs I've labeled out for you. Okay, so I'll just pause it while you guys copy in that, at least that table to your notes. Okay, so our choice then is to take a look if the slices are the same size, right? Or basically, whether they're the same size or not, we're probably mostly thinking that we're going to sell our pizza by the slice. So which company should we order from if we're going to pick it up ourselves? Now, they're different prices, but they also have different amount of slices in the pizza. And we'll talk about delivery costs in the next problem. So how could we figure out which company you want to deal with here? Yeah, that's what we want to work out, is the cost per slice. We want to bring it all down to a common unit, the unit cost per slice. So that's the one example of a rate, the cost per slice. So let's go and calculate that. I'll start with the first one. So for the Pizza Palace, let's abbreviate it here so we don't go crazy. Let's go Pizza Palace. It costs us $15, but we get 12 slices. $1.25? So that will be $1.25 then if we're selling that slice. The Pizza Shack. Sorry, it's 130. Okay, we'll leave it at 133. Okay. Sorry? And $1.20. Pizza, well, I guess I'll have to call it Planet, is $12. There's 10 of them, so it'd be $1.20. Now, I want everybody to write this one down just so you can see what happens. But what we're going to get in the habit of doing when we write these rates down, it feels like more work, but it's going to make the math a lot easier. So normally when we write this down, we would write this down like 15 slices per pizza. So this is the word, this is in your head, you're thinking, when you say the word per, you're going to divide. Okay, because then I'm going to multiply it by one pizza has, oops, hang on a second. It's not 15 slices, it's $15. That's why it looks funny. And then one pizza has 12 slices. So what happens is these pieces cancel out, the pizza on the top and the pizza on the bottom, and the units that I end up with are dollars per slice. So that's one way when we get to tougher problems. By canceling out your units, you can figure out how to move from one measurement to the other one. And we'll practice that, but I just want you to see it for this first one. So now it becomes an easy question to answer. Which one would you order from? Pizza Planet, yeah. So if you're trying to fundraise and get some money, this would be the company that you want to work with because they have the best deal. Now, of course, in the real world, you know, people might say, I'd rather pay $1.25 for Pizza Palaces, so, you know, maybe it's worth it as a business to pay more. But we don't need to, for our purposes, we're going to look basically as the minimum cost is the best for us. Now, it's not likely you'd be able to pick these pizzas up by yourself if we were to actually do this at Johnson Heights, right? You'd have to phone it in because you're stuck at school. You know, if you went to the store to buy it, and by the time you got back, everybody would have already eaten their lunch and you'd be sitting there with cold pizza that no one wants to buy. So this time what I want you to think about, you can talk about it with a neighbor, we'll recap together. This time you got to get it delivered, so you have to factor in the delivery cost. Now, if you've never ordered pizza before, it's a flat rate. Doesn't matter if you order 1 or 10 pizzas, you pay the same charge for delivery. So think about it, if you ordered 2 pizzas, if you ordered 5 pizzas, and then you're probably more likely to say, I think we can sell blank amount of slices. Like, I think we can sell 50 slices of pizza. So if we said we're going to sell 55 slices, how many pizzas is that from each of those stores? How much will it waste? How much the delivery cost? So what I want you to do is figure out what's the unit cost per per slice if we also add a delivery fee this time. Okay, so I'll let you guys talk about it, think about it, we'll recap together. Okay, it sounds like by the discussion I'm hearing that we can talk about the first one and make sure you're on the right track, and then I'll let you keep going with it. If I was to look at Pizza Palace, I'm going to pay $15 for per pizza. So that means I'm going to pay $30 plus $2 for delivery is $32. Then I have a total of 24 slices. So after I've ordered from the Pizza Palace, let's just see here, I get $1.33. Okay, and then if I order from Pizza Shack, these are now $20 pizzas. So I have 40 pizzas and a $10 delivery fee. So that's $50 for 30 slices of pizza. Yeah. So that's $1.67 per slice. And for the last pizza company, we are paying $12 a pizza. So we paid $24, and the delivery cost was $8. So we have $32 total, and we've ordered 20 pizzas. So that's $1.60. Oops, let me do a better job of that. $1.60 per slice. So the clear winner here is the Pizza Palace, $1.33. So if we had to deliver the pizza in, selling those for fundraising would make us more money. All right, so you can double check, make sure that you were able to do it with 5 pizzas this time. And then how would you do it with 55 slices, right? You have to think a little differently. All right, so I'll just make sure that everybody's thinking the same way. So for Pizza Palace, if I ordered 5 pizzas, that's going to cost me $75 plus a $2 delivery fee. So 77 out of 60 slices. If I was to order from the Pizza Shack, that's going to be, let's see, $110, which is, how many slices am I getting here? 75 slices. And finally, from the Pizza Planet, it's going to cost $60 plus, $8 for delivery. So it'll be $68 divided by 50 slices. So let's see here, 77 out of 60, that's $1.28 a slice. $1.10 divided by 75, so $1.47. And 68 divided by 50, this is $1.36. Okay, so the Pizza Palace still works out to be the best deal. Okay. Now, if we wanted to figure out 55 slices, we have to ask ourselves how many pizzas we're ordering here. So let's take a look here. Pizza Planet, Pizza Shack, and Pizza Palace. Okay. So, how many pizzas do we need from the Pizza Palace? We can't order 4.5 pizzas, unfortunately. From the Pizza Palace, there's 12 slices. Yeah, 60 slices, which would be 5 pizzas. So let me show you guys again how you can figure it out with a rate. So here's what we can do. We can write this down as there are 12, sorry, we want 55 slices. And I have one pizza gets me 12 slices. And the reason I know that I'm putting 12 on the bottom is that way slices is on the top and the bottom. I'm left with the number of pizzas. So it's already been mentioned that we need 5 pizzas, but that's how I could calculate it. Okay. So here, I'm going to keep going. If I was to order from the Pizza Shack, yeah, this time I would need 4 pizzas. And if I was to order from the Pizza Planet, we'd need 6 pizzas. So there's going to be some pizza that's wasted if we only had 55. So let's see what we end up with this time. So that'll be 75 pizzas. We can just use, we've already done it here. So that's $1.28. We've already figured out how much it costs when we order from the Pizza Palace. If I order from the Pizza Shack, that's going to be 4 pizzas is $80 and the delivery of 10. So 90, and I have 60 slices. So this should be $1.50 per slice. And if I order 6 pizzas from the Pizza Planet, that means I'm going to have $72 plus the 8 for delivery. So it's 80 out of 60. And let's see here. I don't think it's going to beat, but we'll just take a look. $1.33. So actually pretty close. But again, the champion of pizzas is the Pizza Palace. So we're going to move into this idea of using rates a bit more. So I want to show you guys how we could use that. So remember, I mentioned that we were going to write it as a fraction. Sorry, do people want to copy that down? Is that? Yeah. Okay, I'll just give you. So let's take a look at rates. As I had mentioned earlier, when you hear, thank you, when you hear things like in a or per, we want to think of writing it as a fraction. So when I say it as 2.2 pounds in a kilogram, that's like saying either 2.2 pounds per 1 kilogram, or I could write it as 1 kilogram per 2.2 pounds. Okay? These things are equivalent because it's like saying, what would you rather have, 1 kilogram of gold or 2.2 pounds of gold? They weigh the same amount, so they would be the same. So if we want to convert from 5 pounds into kilograms, all I have to think about when I write my rate is which of those two fractions am I going to use? The left one or the right one? The right one is correct. How come the right one is correct? The one you want is on top, and the one that I want to go away is on the bottom. You see, if I write it as 1 kilogram in 2.2 pounds, then the pounds are gone, and I'm left with kilograms. Okay. So that means I've got 5 pounds divided by 2.2 is 2.27 kilograms. So I want to show you just how well this idea can work if you get the hang of it. We're going to convert 12 meters into feet, which is going to require several steps. But the goal is still to figure out which of these fractions we're going to use. So here's the information for the problem. These are the conversions. And if you're worried about this, don't be. You'll always get the conversions. You don't have to memorize them. But what we need to do is we need to figure out how do we get from meters into feet. Okay, so let's start together we have 12 meters, and I need to get out of meters, so I'm going to put it on the bottom. So out of all those rates, how am I going to set this fraction up so that meters is on the bottom? So 1 meter is on the bottom. What's on top? 100 centimeters. So what Tim noticed is here, that's how you can get out of meters. Okay. And what's the next fraction that I'm going to move into? Inches is correct. So for those of you who are wondering how they're figuring this out, again, top and bottom. The next one I want to get rid of is centimeters, so centimeters should go on the bottom. So there's the centimeters, so 2.52 centimeters. And on top is 1 inch. So what's the final fraction that I'm going to end up writing here? 1 foot, right? And 12 inches. So those units again, top and bottom, are gone because they match up. And I'm left with feet for my units. Okay, so if I was to put this into my calculator, that'll tell me how many how many feet are in 12 meters. So in my calculator it says I have 39.68 feet. So in my calculator what I did was I went 12 times 100 divided by 2.5, oops, running away on me, 2.52, and then divided by 12, because I'm using all these numbers here, 12, 100, 252, 12. There's no need to multiply or divide by 1, that's why I just ignored those other ones. So the trick when you're switching units is to remember the number on the bottom is going to cancel out the units you're in, and the number on top is going to move into the new units. Is that okay right there? All right, let's move on then. Okay, compare the following situation to determine which rate is greater. It says we got a tank that can drain 300 liters of water. And another tank that will drain 150 liters of water. So what we want to know is which tank is going to drain faster. If it takes 4 hours and 15 minutes to drain 300 liters, or 2 hours and 10 minutes to drain 150 liters. So what's not convenient about the way you've been told the problem? Hours and minutes. So it would be more convenient if it was all in minutes. So how would we do that then? How do you get 4 hours and 15? So I'm going to show you guys using the rates, okay? 4 hours, and there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So using rates, that gives me 240 minutes plus the 15 minutes that are up here in the problem. So total I have 255 minutes. So I'll let you guys convert 2 hours and 10 minutes into just minutes, and then we'll reconvene. What did you get for 2 hours and 10 minutes? 130 is right. So 2 hours, you have 60 minutes in 1 hour. So the hours cancel out. I'm left with 120 minutes. So I've got an extra 10, which means in total I have 130 minutes. So if I want to compare which of those two tanks drained faster, then I have 300 liters in 255, or I have 150 liters in 130. So this is in how many liters per minute that the tanks drain. And let's see what we get here. 300 divided by 255 is, yeah, we can call it, let's call it 1.18 liters per minute. And we have 150 divided by 130. Yeah, so 1.15 liters per minute. So the faster tank, the one that would have drained the fastest if they were equal is this tank A. that one was draining faster than tank B. Okay, so I think we're going to skip the second question. It's very similar. You're basically looking at the speed the person ran. And again, if they're a faster runner, they would have a larger rate. Okay. So let's try one. Let's just try one of them. Let's try, well, here's something. You probably haven't bought a lot of cheese, but you probably at least are aware of gas and gas prices. So at a gas station, let's try this one. Which has the lower rate? For gasoline, that would be the cheaper price. Okay, so you try this one. You have a gasoline with 44 liters of fuel for $41. And 32 liters of fuel for $31.36. So which station had the cheaper rate? So this is $1.06 per liter. Yeah, and it's station B. You have 32 liters. Oops. And you'd be paying $31.36. And that's $1.02. So the cheaper gas station would be B. Yes? Dollars per liter, yeah. Oh, that's a good point. So you've just noticed a mistake. What's the mistake? Yeah, so do you guys see the units, the mistake there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so what we've done here is these units are upside down. So that's, if we look here, this was in liters and this was in dollars, but then it went backwards to dollars per liter. So when you guys do your questions, that's another, I didn't mean to make that mistake, but that's how easily it can happen. So for us, what we should be doing is making sure if we want to know the price in dollars per liter, we have to adjust this so that the units are in dollars per liter. So let's fix it. It'll be $41.36 and 44 liters. And so now I'm in dollars per liter. And from gas station B, I would have $31.36, and that's 32 liters. So again, my units are now in dollars per liter. So let's see what happens here when I compare. Gas station A win this time? Okay, let's take a look.
Like pretty much the exact same amount.
It wasn't me this time.
By the exact same difference of...
Okay, so $31.36, and we went 32 liters. So this was 98 cents per liter. Okay, so now the units match up the right way. It's actually gas station A, which was the better one. You land at the airport and you find that there's, you're with 3 other people, so you can split transportation costs if it's better. But what you want to do is figure out how you're going to get to your hotel the cheapest. So here's 4 options for you. Some shuttles, they just charge you a flat rate per person. And some shuttles, they charge you, it's like a taxi, but you pay a cheaper rate than a taxi. Taxis, you pay by the distance. And public transportation, of course, the slowest option, but sometimes that's the cheapest. Public transport's not always the cheapest though, right? If you notice, anybody been to, say, like North Surrey on a tournament with a sports team? Or Guildford Park or something close by? Well, the PE department pays for taxis to take the students to the schools near us because that's cheaper than taking transit or booking a school bus, right? So that's what I want you to work out here is if you're 10 kilometers from the airport, which one would you choose there with your group of 4? Okay, what's the cost per person if you come home from the airport to your hotel? Okay, so let's start with the first one. if you take a shuttle, that's $12 per person. Well, actually, there's 3 other people, so there's 4 total. So that means for the shuttle, so I'll just name these 1, 2, 3, and 4. For the shuttle, you have 4 people who each pay $12, so you'd have $48. That means, let's see, what other ones do we have? For number 2, the other shuttle service, if I go 10 kilometers, it's going to be $10 per person. So if you want to see it as a rate, that's $10 per person for 1 person. Oh, okay, 1 second. That sounds like I went too fast. So how is the first one $48? There's 4 people, and it's $12 per person.
So isn't it already 12?
Just a second, okay? So you're right. It's going to be $12 per person, but we want to be able to just follow me along for a second. We need to know the total amount too here because we're going to use it in part B as well. So you could have just done it as $12 per person, but you'll see why I'm doing it this way in just a second. So for this second part here, that's going to be $10 per person because I'm going 10 kilometers. And there are 4 people. So those would be gone, and I'd end up with $40. The taxi service, we only pay the taxi for the whole group. So there's 10 kilometers to go. And they're charging us $5 per kilometer. That means kilometers are gone, and I now have $50, right? And for the last scenario, public transportation, 4 people at $11 each. Is $44. And so this is the total cost that I've just calculated, okay? So the total costs mean that if you divide it by 4, you get $12. Divided by 4, you get $10. Divided by 4, you get $12.50. And divided by 4 would be $11. So the cheapest one is shuttle number 2. So for part 2, what's the cost per hour? This time we know what the cost is, we just don't know how long it takes. So for number 1, how can we figure out how long is it going to take to get from the airport to the hotel if we take the flat rate shuttle? So you know that you're 10 kilometers. How can you use 60 kilometers per hour as a rate?
60 divided by.
Well, if we go 60 kilometers per hour, did we get where we wanted to? No, right now they didn't cancel because they're not the same. Kilometers and hours are in there. So we don't want 60 kilometers per hour. We want 1 hour in 60 kilometers. So now the kilometers are gone, and I get 1/6 of an hour. So that means 10 minutes. But anyways, we'll leave it like that. We need to figure out how long it's going to take each of these. So the second one, there's 10 kilometers to go. And we have, in 1 hour, we'll go 40 kilometers. And 10 kilometers, there'll be 1 hour, and we go 80 kilometers. So that's 1/8 of an hour. And then finally, 10 kilometers, we're going to have 1 hour and 25 kilometers. So that's 10, we'll just call it 10 out of 25. You could also call that 2 out of 5. But anyway, this is the time. So what's going to be important then is when we want to figure out how much it costs per hour, here's how many hours, here's the total cost. The first one's going to look like this. It's $48 to take the shuttle service, and it's 1/6 of an hour. You can write in the decimals if you'd rather, but I'll keep them in my calculator exactly. So this is, let's see, 48, so 288. So it's $288 per hour to use the shuttle. For question number 2, it says we are going, it's going to cost us $40. And we're going to do this in 1/4 of an hour. So that's $160 an hour. Okay, for the taxi, it costs $50 to use the taxi. And it takes 1/8. So the taxi, let's see here. The taxi is actually $400 per hour. Wow. Okay, and then the last one, it takes costs $44, and we're going 2 out of 5 of an hour. So it's $110 per hour. So the bus is the cheapest at $110 an hour. You don't like graphs? Okay, so for the graph, we kind of have to talk, I guess, a little bit about how to interpret a graph. So if we look at this, this is maybe like you're at your house, your distance is 0 kilometers from your house. Maybe this is you make it out to, I don't know, this is you drive out of your neighborhood and you hit a stop sign, and then the next time you measure it, maybe you're on your way to Johnson Heights or something like that. And then the next time we measure you, I don't know, you're 6 kilometers away from your house, and a total of 9 minutes has gone by. Okay? So I'll show you here how we can use the graph to figure out some speeds for the cars. So we're going to start by looking at this first little piece of the graph. So how many minutes have gone by when the car drives from point A to point B? Yeah, so from A to B, 3 minutes has gone by. Yeah, I'll give you a minute to draw the graph, but it doesn't have to be perfect as long as you have the points marked. So I'll mark the points for you. This is the point, 3 minutes, 2 kilometers, 7 minutes, 3 kilometers, and 6 minutes, 9 kilometers. Okay, so if you're not quite complete with the graph, that's all right. But just follow along with how I figure out the speed for part A to B. How much distance have they covered when they go from A to B? Yeah, 2 kilometers has gone by. Okay. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to work out their speed, but you don't usually say, man, I was ripping down the highway going 5 kilometers a minute. You usually say it in kilometers per hour, right? So let's do that conversion. If you went 2 kilometers in 3 minutes, okay, we don't want minutes anymore, right? We want hours. So top or bottom, where will I put minutes to get rid of it? Yeah, it's going to go on the top so that they cancel out here. Okay, what units would I like in the bottom if I don't want minutes? Hours, right? Kilometers per hour, yeah. So all I need now is what's the relationship between minutes and hours? 60 minutes for 1 hour. Okay, so let's see what the speed would be. It's going to be, let's hear, 40 kilometers per hour. Okay. What happened, Tim? Two times 60 divided by 3, yeah. That'll be the end result that gets us into kilometers per hour. Okay, so let's walk through BC. So how much time went by when I drove from B to C? How much time went by when I drove from B to C? 4 minutes went by. And how far did I drive from B to C? Good. I only went 1 kilometer here. Anybody recognize what this kind of looks like from last year? A triangle, yeah, but do you remember it starts with an S? It looks like slope, yeah, rise over run. Good. So again, if I wanted to figure this out, I went 1 kilometer in 4 minutes, and there are 60 minutes in an hour. So that means minutes are no longer in my units. I'm in kilometers per hour, and that's only 15 kilometers per hour. Not very fast. You must have hit a school zone.
Why did you divide it by 2?
Okay, and then when we go from C to D, what time went by from C to D? How long did it take?
2 minutes.
Good, 2 minutes went by, and what was the distance?
3.
So that means that this person went 3 kilometers in 2 minutes, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. So they are going quite fast. They're going 90 kilometers per hour. So now I can answer the questions. What was the fastest speed that they traveled? Well, the fastest speed they traveled was 90 kilometers per hour. The slowest speed they traveled was 15 kilometers per hour. And if you want to know over the entire trip, instead of doing all these different speeds, they could have done it with just one speed, and their trip would look like this. From A to B, they would just go like that. One speed. So the average speed that they could have done would be a total of 9 minutes and 6 kilometers. So if I converted that, 6 kilometers in 9 minutes, and there are 60 minutes in an hour. Then let's see here. That'd be the same thing as them doing 40 kilometers an hour.
You do 60 times 6 divided by.
Yep. 40 kilometers an hour instead of doing all the different speeds.